What if everything you thought you knew about women was wrong? What if the real secret to connection wasn't about chasing, fixing, or pleasing, but understanding the quiet truths she'll never say out loud? Most men will never uncover the truth about what really drives women, not because they don't care, not because they're lazy or incapable, but because society has fed them lies about what women truly want and how they genuinely think. These false beliefs have left countless men confused, frustrated, and always one step behind. But here's the hard truth. Understanding women begins with understanding their weaknesses. Not to exploit them, never that, but to finally reclaim control in your life and in your relationships. And today, we're revealing 5 hidden female weaknesses that every man must learn, not just to know, but to master. By the end of this video, you won't just understand what they are. You'll know exactly how to use them with strength, clarity, and purpose to become the kind of man every woman respects, desires, and finds herself drawn to, even when she doesn't want to be. Let me start by asking you this. Are you tired of always feeling behind, like you're constantly trying to decode mixed signals or figure out what went wrong, even when you gave your best? If so, this video is for you. If you've ever wondered why women say one thing and do another, you're not alone. And no, it's not because women are impossible to understand. It's because there are certain emotional truths they'll never admit. Not because they're hiding something malicious, but because these truths run deeper than even they realize. And once you understand them, everything changes. You'll tap into a quiet, powerful confidence you've never felt before. You'll stop making the same mistakes, the ones that unknowingly push women away. And most importantly, you'll become the kind of man who isn't confused by feminine behavior, but calmly grounded in it. This isn't about games. This isn't about manipulation. It's about mastering the psychological realities that shape female behavior and using them to step into the man you were always meant to become. So let's begin. Number 1, emotional validation is her greatest weakness. Yes, women are emotional beings. And no, that's not an insult. It's simply reality. Her emotions guide her decisions, shape her memories, and determine how she connects with the world and with you. Here's the part most men miss. Emotional validation is the master key to her heart, not a luxury, not an afterthought, not a nice to have. It's the foundation. Whether you're just talking casually, dating, or in a committed relationship, if you don't offer this, you're just another background character in her story. Forgettable, replaceable. But the moment she feels seen and understood, truly, you become different. You become the one man who feels like home, the one she can trust, the one she doesn't want to lose. And here's why most men fail at this. They get stuck in logic. She vents about her day. He jumps in with a solution. He thinks he's being helpful. But to her, it feels like he's not even listening. She doesn't need a fixer. She needs a witness. Imagine this. She walks in clearly upset because her boss didn't appreciate her hard work. Most men say things like, "Don't let it bother you," or "Just ignore it." And just like that, her emotions are dismissed. She feels alone, again. But if you say, "It sounds like you worked really hard and it's frustrating when no one notices," everything shifts. You've just validated her feelings. You didn't fix the situation. You saw her. That's what matters. Emotional validation doesn't mean you agree with everything. It doesn't mean you pretend she's always right. It simply means you acknowledge her feelings as real, even when they don't make logical sense to you. Women process emotions in a way that may feel chaotic or irrational to men. But to her, that emotion is real. And if you ignore it, you lose her respect. But if you recognize it, you earn her trust. Think back. When was the last time a woman got upset over something you found trivial? Maybe it was a passing comment or some minor inconvenience, and maybe you said, "You're overreacting." But what if instead you said, "I can see how that would upset you. That sounds really frustrating." Watch how her face changes, her body softens. Suddenly, she feels like you're on her side, like you're one of the rare few who actually gets her. That moment, that's how emotional bonds are formed. Validation isn't just about the words. It's your tone, your eyes, your patience. It's the way you stay present without your phone, without interrupting. It's how you create safety, not with grand gestures, but with grounded presence. And that, more than anything, is what women truly crave. Now that you understand her deepest emotional need, let's move into the next weakness. One she hides behind confidence, but that reveals more than she'll ever admit. Let's turn the page. Now that you understand how emotional validation opens the first door to her heart, let's go even deeper. Because it's not just about what she feels, it's about whether she feels seen. When she's speaking, look her in the eyes. Don't glance around the room. Don't check your phone. Just look at her. Really look and nod gently as she speaks. These small, simple gestures speak louder than any advice you could ever offer. They tell her one powerful truth. You have my full attention. And to a woman, that's worth more than any clever words or quick solutions. Let's make one thing crystal clear. Validation is not weakness. It's not about pandering to her emotions or betraying your own identity. It's about recognizing that her emotions are a part of who she is and showing her that you accept that fully and without hesitation. Because when a woman feels accepted, her attraction deepens in quiet, powerful ways you can't always see, but she can feel. There's a reason why so many women say, I just want someone who listens, not because they want a therapist, but because true listening has become a lost art. Most men are so focused on what they're going to say next or how to respond that they completely miss what's being shared in the moment. They wait for their turn to speak. They dismiss her feelings without even realizing it. And in doing so, they disappear from her heart, slowly but surely. But when you really listen, when you're still, open, and present, you become different. You become the man who gets her. The man who sees beneath the words, the man who feels what she can't always explain. And that's the man she can't help but respect and want. Still, don't confuse validation with submission. This isn't about letting her walk all over you or becoming spineless. This is about being strong enough to hold space for her emotions without being ruled by them. Because a man who can stay grounded even when emotions run high is a man who commands quiet authority. He doesn't react, he responds. He doesn't collapse under emotion. He contains it with confidence. Some men scoff at this idea. They think it sounds soft. They believe it means putting her needs above your own. But let me ask you this. What's stronger, brushing her off and creating distance, or validating her emotions and building a connection so strong she wants to stay close? True strength isn't cold detachment. It's facing emotions head on and knowing how to respond with presence, not panic. Here's another example to bring this home. She's venting about a falling out with a close friend. Most men immediately jump in with solutions. They offer advice. They try to explain why it's not a big deal. But imagine instead you say, it sounds like that conversation really hurt you. I can see why it's still on your mind. In that moment, you're not just listening. You're showing her that you care enough to step into her world. That's what makes a man unforgettable. Validation isn't just a technique, it's a mindset. It's realizing that emotions aren't problems to solve, they're bridges. And when you stop treating them like roadblocks, you create a path to trust, intimacy, and connection. She begins to open up in ways she never has before. She starts to trust you more, respect you more, desire you more. Because here's the truth. Women don't want a man who's perfect. They want a man who's present, someone who can hold their emotional storms with calm strength, someone who doesn't run, shut down, or take control, but stands steady in the center of it all. And when you become that man, relationships become less of a struggle and more of a flow. You're no longer guessing. You're no longer reacting. You're leading with grounded confidence. And yet, even beyond emotional validation, there's one need that sits even deeper, not being accepted, but being understood. Number 2, she's obsessed with being understood. Let's talk about the second weakness, one that fuels nearly every reaction, every argument, and every emotional outburst she has. We ended by uncovering a woman's deep need to be understood, beyond her words, beneath her emotions. Now let's explore what it really means to offer that understanding and how most men get it completely wrong. When you understand her, not just on the surface, but at the emotional core, you create a bond so deep, so solid, that no one else can compete with it. But let's be clear. Understanding her doesn't mean agreeing with everything she says. It doesn't mean throwing away your own logic or allowing her emotions to take over the relationship. It means listening, not just to her words, but to what's beneath them. It means hearing the heartbeat in her voice. It means showing her through your presence that her feelings matter, even if you don't fully share or relate to them. Picture this. She tells you she's upset about a conversation with a friend. She says, I feel like she's always dismissing me. Now, most men respond with something like, you're overthinking it, or I'm sure she didn't mean it like that. But do you see what just happened? You've unknowingly confirmed her deepest fear, that you don't understand her. And worse, that you don't even care enough to try. Now imagine saying this instead. It sounds like you're hurt because you feel unappreciated in that friendship. Boom. In that moment, you've done something most men never do. You've reached past the surface and reflected back how she feels, without judgment, without solutions. That one sentence, it changes everything. Because here's the truth. When a woman shares her frustrations, she's not just venting, she's testing you. She wants to know, can you handle this? Can you stand in the storm of her emotions without flinching? Can you meet her feelings with calm understanding rather than fear or frustration? If you can't, she may not say it aloud. She might not even realize it herself at first, but her respect for you begins to fade. Slowly, quietly. And once respect is gone, attraction is not far behind. But if you can, if you listen with presence, validate with honesty, and show her you truly get where she's coming from, you unlock a kind of connection she's never felt before. And here's where it becomes even more powerful. This need to be understood doesn't just appear in big conversations or dramatic emotional breakdowns. It shows up in tiny, everyday moments too. It's in how you respond when she casually mentions she had a rough meeting. It's in whether you notice she's quieter than usual. It's in whether you remember what makes her anxious, what excites her, what matters to her, even if it seems insignificant to you. Let's say she tells you she's nervous about a presentation at work. A man who doesn't understand her will say, you'll do fine, and move on. But the man who does understand her, he'll pause. He'll ask, what part is stressing you out? He'll remind her of her strengths, acknowledge her nerves, and offer reassurance that feels real, not robotic. And in doing so, he tells her, I see you, not just what you do, but who you are. That is the difference. That's what separates the man she appreciates from the man she aches for. Most men treat women like puzzles, something to be solved with the right technique or phrase. But women aren't puzzles. They're not problems to fix. They're people. And what they want most is simple, but rare, to be seen, heard, and understood. If you can offer her that, you become the man she can't stop thinking about. But don't mistake understanding for weakness. Being a man who understands women doesn't mean sacrificing your identity. It doesn't mean letting her feelings dictate your choices. It means being strong enough to hold space for her emotions without letting them drown you. That's the kind of strength that's magnetic. While other men collapse under emotional pressure, shutting down, arguing, or fleeing, you remain grounded. You listen, you process, you respond, not react. You don't try to shut her down or fix her feelings, but you don't let them control you either. You find that rare middle ground where true connection lives. That balance, it's what makes you unforgettable. Let me put it plainly. A woman can forgive a lot, mistakes, disagreements, even temporary distance, but what she won't forgive is feeling misunderstood. If she senses you don't truly see her, not just on the outside, but deep down, she'll slowly start to pull away. And once she emotionally disconnects, it's nearly impossible to get her back. So don't underestimate the power of understanding. Don't assume hearing her words is enough. Don't believe a gift or compliment can replace what she truly craves, to feel known. And now, with that foundation of emotional intelligence in place, let's look at the next weakness, a deep, often hidden truth about women that men rarely notice, yet it plays out in nearly every romantic dynamic, her attraction to masculine energy and certainty. We've uncovered how deeply women crave understanding, not shallow affection or surface-level gestures, but something real. Now, let's talk about what happens when that understanding is paired with the right kind of energy. You can't win her over with compliments alone. No amount of flowers, dinners, or flattering words will matter if you don't make her feel truly seen. If you want to build a connection that lasts, you have to show her you understand her, not just as a woman, but as a whole person. That doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It doesn't mean you'll always know exactly what to say or how to respond. But it does mean you have to try. You have to be willing to listen, to really listen, to ask thoughtful questions, to care about the little things she shares, and most of all, to make it clear that her feelings matter to you, even when you don't fully relate. And when you do this, something powerful happens. She starts to trust you more. She opens up, she softens, she begins to lean on you, not out of neediness, but out of respect, in ways she's never leaned on anyone before. Because understanding isn't just a skill, it's a mindset. It's a shift in perspective that helps you stop seeing her emotions as problems to fix and start seeing them as doorways to deeper connection. And when you embrace that mindset, everything changes. She begins to see you as the man who truly gets her. And that kind of man, he stands out. No one can replace him. Number 3, confidence attracts, but control repels. Confidence is magnetic. It's the silent force that pulls people in without trying. It's what makes others stop and listen when you walk into a room. To women, confidence is irresistible. It signals strength, security, direction. It says, I know who I am. I don't need approval to move forward. But here's the catch. The moment confidence shifts into control, it backfires. What once drew her in now pushes her away. Instead of inspiring safety and trust, control creates resistance. It stirs up fear. It makes her feel suffocated. If you don't understand where confidence ends and control begins, you may sabotage even the best relationship without realizing it. See, a woman is naturally drawn to a confident man because he makes her feel safe. She sees that he's capable of leading, of standing firm in his decisions, of being solid in who he is. She feels that quiet energy that says, I can handle life. I can handle you. I don't need to dominate to feel strong. But when that confidence crosses into control, it changes everything. It strips away her freedom, the very thing she holds closest. She no longer feels like your partner. She feels like your possession. So how do you walk that line? How do you show confidence without slipping into control? It starts with knowing the difference between leading and dominating. Leading is guiding with strength, calm, and consideration. It's saying, I've got us, while still respecting her voice and her space. Dominating, on the other hand, is pushing your will without care for her input. It silences her. It steals her choice. Let's make this clear with a simple example. A confident man says, let's try that new sushi place tonight. I think you'll love it. He leads, but leaves room for her excitement, her opinion. A controlling man says, we're eating sushi tonight. That's final. No room for her. No room for connection. Same plan, different energy. And that energy makes all the difference. This balance becomes especially crucial during conflict. Let's say she wants to spend time with her friends, but you had a date planned. A confident man respects that. He might adjust, reschedule, and remain secure in himself. Knowing her time with others doesn't diminish his worth. A controlling man, though, he pressures her, demands she cancel, tries to force her loyalty. But here's the truth. Control isn't strength. It's fear. Fear in disguise. And women can sense that fear immediately, long before you even speak. True confidence doesn't panic. It doesn't shake when plans shift or emotions rise. It stays calm, solid, steady. A confident man doesn't need to control the situation because he trusts himself to handle whatever comes. And that energy, it's magnetic. Women feel safe around it, not because they're being managed, but because they're being led by someone who won't collapse when things get difficult. But confidence is more than what you say. It's how you move. It's in your posture, your tone, your eyes. It's in the way you respond when things go wrong. A confident man doesn't break. He bends, adapts, and carries on with poise. Let's put this in a relationship context. She's had a tough day and is feeling emotional. The confident man, he listens, validates, supports. He doesn't flinch or try to control the moment. He simply stays present. The controlling man, he tells her to calm down, says she's overreacting, dismisses her in an attempt to regain control. But all he does is reveal the truth. He's not as strong as he claims. And here's something you need to know. Women are incredibly perceptive. They feel the difference between real confidence and forced bravado, between grounded masculinity and fragile ego. The moment they sense control, they begin to pull away, not because they don't want strength, but because they want a man strong enough to let them be strong too. In today's world, that matters more than ever. Women value their independence, their freedom, their identity. They're not looking for a man to dominate them. They want a man who compliments them, a man who leads without smothering, a man who respects, not restricts. And if you can become that man, she won't just be attracted to you, she'll respect you, trust you, and choose you. So, how do you build this kind of quiet, unshakable confidence? It starts with one thing: knowing yourself. And now let's explore how a woman's emotional memory, her ability to remember how you made her feel, can either deepen her desire for you or make her want to disappear. So, yes, real confidence is calm, steady, and respectful. It doesn't overpower her, it empowers both of you. And when you bring that kind of energy into your relationship, it changes everything. A truly confident man doesn't need to dominate to feel strong, but he also doesn't hide in the shadows. He moves through life and relationships with quiet strength and deep self-respect. Confidence means more than standing tall when things are easy. It means stepping outside of your comfort zone, facing hard things head on, being okay with risk, with failure, with not always knowing the outcome, because deep down, you know your worth isn't tied to winning or losing. And when you carry that mindset into your relationship, she sees it. She feels it. She sees a man who doesn't just survive the storm, but stands in the storm with calm eyes and steady hands. That's the kind of man she can trust to lead without silencing her. The man who gives her room to breathe, grow, and be herself without ever feeling threatened. Let's be clear, though. Confidence is not arrogance. It's not walking around like you're superior or invincible. It's not showing off or puffing out your chest to impress. Real confidence is quiet. It's humble. It's the kind that makes space for her strengths because you're secure in your own. It's saying, I'm here, I'm solid, and I don't need to shrink you to stand tall. When you master that balance, something remarkable happens. Women begin to respond to your presence in ways you've never experienced before. They feel safe around you. They feel respected. They feel seen. In a world full of men who are either too passive or too controlling, you become the exception. Not just the man who attracts her, but the man who earns her loyalty and keeps it. Number 4, her desire for security is a hidden driver. A woman's desire for security is not just a preference. It's not some superficial wish for a stable paycheck or a nice apartment. It's deeply primal, etched into her psychology by thousands of years of evolution. Back then, survival literally depended on choosing a man who could protect, provide, and stay. And while the world has changed, her biology hasn't. That need for security still whispers in the background of nearly every decision she makes, often without her even realizing it. But here's where most men get it wrong. Security isn't just financial. Yes, money matters, but it's only one piece of the puzzle. She craves emotional security, mental consistency, and physical stability. She needs to know you're solid, not just in your words, but in your actions. That no matter what chaos life throws her way, you're the anchor she can count on. And when she feels that, you unlock a level of loyalty and emotional devotion that most men never experience. But if you fail to provide it, if she senses even a hint of inconsistency or unreliability, she may start to withdraw. She might not even know why, but something in her starts scanning for someone who can give her what she's missing. Let's break this down. Emotional security. This is about making her feel safe to be vulnerable. It's about creating an environment where she can share without fear, without being judged, mocked, or dismissed. When she feels emotionally safe, she'll open up to you in ways no one else ever sees. Walls fall, guards drop. She connects with you beyond attraction, on a level that builds true intimacy. But if she feels like she has to hide parts of herself, if she senses that you can't handle her intensity or emotions, she will start to shut down. She'll protect herself before you get the chance to hurt her. Think about it. Have you ever seen a woman break down from stress, anxiety, or exhaustion? In that moment, how did you respond? Did you tell her to just relax? Did you try to fix it all instead of listening? Or did you stay grounded, let her speak, and simply show her with your presence that she wasn't alone? Because here's the truth. Women don't want a man who panics when things get hard. They don't want someone who crumbles under emotional weight. They want a man who remains calm in the storm. A man who tells her, not with words, but with energy, that everything will be okay because you're here. That's emotional security, and it's one of the most powerful forms of masculine presence you can offer. But it's only one part of the equation. In the next section, we'll dive into another layer of security, one most men overlook: mental security. Because words might win her attention, but your consistency is what will earn her trust. We've talked about emotional and mental security, the invisible foundations that build lasting trust. But there's one more layer that women instinctively look for, even if they never say it aloud. It's physical security. Now, don't misunderstand this. She doesn't need you to be some muscle-bound action hero. It's not about fighting off threats or playing the tough guy. True physical security isn't about how you look. It's about how you carry yourself. It's in your posture, your tone, your presence. It's about how you protect, how you respond to pressure, and how you make her feel when life gets chaotic. A woman wants to feel safe, not just from outside dangers, but from the storm of everyday stress and unpredictability. She needs to know that you won't crumble when things get hard, that when she's scared or shaken, you'll be the one standing steady. Think about this. How do you handle conflict? Whether it's a disagreement with your boss, a tense conversation with a friend, or a stranger cutting you off in traffic, do you stay calm and collected? Or do you explode? Retreat? Shut down? Because even if she doesn't say it, she's watching. She's learning from how you move through adversity. She's asking herself, can I rely on this man when things go wrong? If your answer is calm strength, she'll feel it, and she'll trust you more than you realize. But it's more than just reactions. Security is who you are. It's being a man who's grounded, a man who knows his values and stands firm in them, a man who doesn't sway with every opinion, who doesn't need the world's approval to feel solid. This kind of strength can't be faked. It's felt in your presence, how you speak, how you move, how you carry yourself when no one's watching. And here's what too many men get wrong. Security is not about controlling her. It's not about keeping her small or making her dependent on you. It's about empowering her, giving her the space to grow, take risks, and face her fears, knowing you'll be there, not to cage her, but to support her. You become the steady ground beneath her feet, and when you give her that kind of safety, she'll open up to you, trust you, and rely on you in ways you've never known. She'll stop holding back, because now she knows you've got her. You're not just her partner, you're her anchor, her protector, her safe haven in a world that's always shifting. Number 5, she's overwhelmed by her own emotions. And now we reach one of the most misunderstood parts of female psychology, something that can confuse, frustrate, and even scare men away. But it shouldn't, because this is not a weakness. It's simply a different emotional operating system. Women are deeply emotional beings, and unlike what society often tries to shame them for, this emotional depth is not something to fix or calm down. It's a vital part of how they experience the world, how they connect, how they love, how they protect what matters to them. But here's the thing. Women don't always have control over the intensity of those emotions. They don't always understand why they feel what they feel. Sometimes it hits like a wave, unexpected, overwhelming, impossible to explain. And when that happens, she doesn't need a fixer. She doesn't need you to make it stop. She needs a man who can stay still, unshaken, while she storms. Think back to a time when she lashed out over something that seemed small. Maybe you forgot to respond to her message. Maybe you were preoccupied and she felt ignored. To you, it was nothing. To her, it was loaded with fear, with vulnerability, with meaning. These aren't just overreactions. They're expressions of deeper emotional needs that even she may not fully understand. So what do most men do in those moments? They argue, they shut down, they get defensive, and in doing so, they confirm her fear. He doesn't care enough to understand me. But a grounded man, he breathes, he stays present, he listens without interrupting, he sees the emotion behind the words, he says things like, I can see how much this is affecting you. That sounds really frustrating. Simple, but powerful. He's not shaken, he doesn't take it personally, he simply holds space for her to be human. Because when a woman is overwhelmed by emotion, what she needs most is safety, not logic, not judgment, not advice, just the reassurance that she's allowed to feel. So the next time she's venting, crying, or pulling away, remember this. She doesn't need you to solve the storm. She just needs to know you won't run from it. In the next section, we'll explore why this emotional storm is more than a moment. It's a test, and how your response to it can either break her trust or build a bond she'll never forget. In a world that often tells men to shut down, to stay silent, or to walk away, being the one who stays calm in the storm, who listens without fear, who stands strong without control, that's the man who captures something far deeper than attraction. So when she's overwhelmed, when her emotions rise like waves crashing against the shore, don't try to fix her. Don't rush to offer solutions. And above all, don't disappear. Instead, stay. Listen. Let her feel. And through your stillness, remind her she is safe with you. Say it clearly. I see you. I'm here. And I'm not going anywhere. Because those words, they're not just comfort, they're courage. They show her that you're not afraid of her emotions, that you won't crumble under pressure, that you're not here just for the good times, but for the real, messy, beautiful chaos of life. This doesn't mean letting her emotions dictate the relationship. It doesn't mean losing yourself or sacrificing your boundaries. True strength is standing firm in who you are while still giving her the space to be fully who she is. Most men either collapse under that weight or run from it. But you become different. You become the man who can hold steady when things get intense, the man who listens without judgment, the man who sees her, not just the smile she shows the world, but everything underneath it. And when she feels seen, heard, and understood like that, she doesn't just stay, she chooses you again and again. That's the power of presence. That's the strength of true masculinity. And that is how you create a connection that no other man can touch. Now, let me leave you with this. These 5 truths about women, these weaknesses, as some call them, are not flaws to be manipulated. They're reflections of a deeper emotional world most men never take the time to understand. But you're not like most men. When you understand these truths, you stop chasing and you start leading. You stop reacting and you start responding. You stop trying to impress and instead you begin to inspire. You become a man of depth, a man of clarity, a man who commands respect, earns trust, and awakens desire, not just in women, but in life itself. So if this message spoke to you, if you felt something shift inside, subscribe to this channel right now, because this isn't just advice. It's the beginning of a deeper journey, a journey into the kind of manhood this world desperately needs. And we're only getting started.